Greetings and salutations, Scribblers. Welcome to another of our writing tips videos. I do want to just pause and say thank you so much to everyone who has watched, liked, or subscribed to our channel over the past year. I wasn't sure how this was going to go when I dived in last June, but I've had so much fun getting to talk to y'all and sharing some of my favorite writing hacks and books that have helped me become a better writer. So thank you. All right, in today's video, we're going to dive into flawed characters and why readers love them. I've talked a lot about characters in other videos, and for me, characters are the backbone of a book, whether the books that I write or the books that I love to read. And the more flawed that those characters are, the more I love them. Six of Crows, Jade City, God Killer are some books that really come to mind that have fantastically flawed characters that we love. You've probably heard about a Mary Sue or a Gary Stu character when people are discussing character types and character flaws. And this is generally a character who is unrealistically flawless. Someone with no bad habits or traits, and they're just kind of boring, right? Readers will then complain about those characters because we can't relate to them. As humans, we all have character flaws. Some we may be aware of, and others we aren't quite ready to take ownership of. But giving your characters flaws invites the reader to identify with the character, even if the flaw isn't one that they share. They can relate to that broader idea of how a less than flattering character trait can sabotage all the other good things going on for that character. So giving your character flaws is not only a fantastic hack to get readers more engaged, it can be used to increase anticipation and drive up the tension in your novel. As the author, it's your job to play with those character flaws and use them to make your character's journey more difficult, right? That's the fun part about writing. For a lot of us, the flaw we choose for a character is going to directly influence all of the choices that they make and then hopefully cause them to have more problems because they can't just get out of their own way. So, how do we give our characters flaws that will engage the reader? There's a lot of different ways you can do this. One way is to think of the one character trait that would give them the most difficulty in their lives. So if your character is maybe short-tempered and impatient, teaching in a middle grade or high school classroom would be a horrible job for them. These traits, these negative traits, can be really tough to think of sometimes because we don't want to focus on them. We want to talk about all the ways that our character is so fantastic, right? So I highly recommend The Negative Trait Thesaurus by Angela Ackerman and Becky Puglisi. This book gives you an alphabetical list of negative character traits along with examples of how that trait might affect them in normal life moments. It's truly a fantastic resource to have on your shelf. Remember though, this is best used as a general guide. You want to make sure that you tweak those negative traits as you apply them to your character and their lives. This will give you a very nuanced version of the flaw that shines with your voice and writing style. Challenging yourself to give your character a flaw that doesn't seem obvious at first, or my personal favorite, mash up two flaws and see what you get. Giving a character 2 or even 3 flaws might be the way to go, as it will make them more complex, especially if you can make those flaws conflict with each other. So there's a lot of different things you can do here, right? But in the end, it is essential that a character has flaws or else they won't be able to complete a character arc. So this is the personal or emotional storyline of the character where they grow. It's usually recognizing that they have to make improvements to some aspect of themselves or on an emotional or spiritual level. So again, this is a very relatable thing to being human, right? We look back on our lives and we see places where we had a fundamental misbelief or we weren't like emotionally mature in the way that we handled the situation. So by seeing a character shift and grow, it gives the readers confidence that they too can overcome their flaws. So hopefully, this won't be an easy process for your character, and I hope you have them making all sorts of other changes to themselves, but ignoring the one that actually matters. Ideally, they're going to experience failure along the way when they do try to change their ways, which will make them double down on why they shouldn't change. Of course, you need to throw them a few wins along the way, small ones that by the end have become a new way of understanding, and you have them indicate that they've learned their lesson. So that's the character arc, right? It in essence just follows that same basic chart of plot points, but you're going to have your exposition, your rising action, your dark moment of the soul, etc., etc. You're just making those really align with that character's growth, that internal growth, right? And that should align with the plot beats of the story. So it's a layering thing. My final reminder is that in most cases, you want the character to be in the driver's seat, meaning that most of what happens to them in a manuscript is because of their own poor choices. In the moment, they may think it's the best idea or realize it's the only choice, but their decision is what drives the plot forward into the next scene. Don't let your character be a passenger. Have them drive and basically argue with the GPS because they know a shortcut to obtaining their goals. Then have them break down on the side of the road miles away from any kind of help. Because that's what makes it really interesting. We want to see those characters kind of fighting with what they know they should do because it's not what they want to do. And they have this totally different, wrong idea about what should be happening in their lives. It really makes that narrative compelling, and readers love to read about flawed people making bad choices, just like we do in everyday life. It is so relatable. So just a reminder, we have an amazing course posted over at the Scribblers Den that focuses on character development that can help you to really dive deep into how your character is and how their flaws will affect them. In the meantime, drop a comment with either your favorite flawed character or your favorite flawed character trait. I'm always looking for more suggestions on books with flawed characters. And thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time, happy writing, Scribblers.